All right, good morning, everyone. It's Monday, July 22nd. I'm Jon Weigell here with Cyan and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Gourmet convenience, or premium diverse cuisine delivered fast, is the newest food trend for Gen Z and millennials. Consumers now want the best, tastiest cuisine, and they want it now. This has caused the snack market's growth to $214 billion and has created tons of innovation in the food space, from hot sauce subscriptions to the rise of flavors like ube. So how can you cash in on this trend? We're answering that question today with Cyan, managing editor of the Weekly Trends newsletter here at HubSpot, who wrote up this story on gourmet convenience. But before that, let's give you the hits and headlines today in business and tech. All right, first up, ZipRecruiter's latest job seeker confidence index is at its lowest point in more than 2 years, with only 15% of job-seeking people saying their hunt is going well. Yeah, seems pretty awful, but just about right. Next, so far, humans and AI complete the average task better when they aren't working together, per an MIT analysis of 74 experiments in which humans and AI perform tasks separately and collaboratively. So, hoping that changes sometime soon. Speaking of AI, a study found that doctors' offices using See the Signs, an AI tool used by about 1,400 practices in England to analyze patients' medical records, saw an 8% rise in cancer detection rates. Over to Disney. The Disneyland Employees Union, which represents 14,000 of the park's cast members, voted Friday to authorize a strike. Organizers will meet this week to decide if and when the union would hold Disneyland's first work stoppage in 40 years. Now that's a wonderland. And finally, frozen French fry brand Ore-Ida and frozen dessert company Good Pop teamed up for a fudge and vanilla French fry pop, a chocolate-covered vanilla ice cream bar roasted in crispy potato bits. Sounds kind of disgusting, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of good. Okay, as mentioned before, we're joined again by the managing editor of the Weekly Trends newsletter here at HubSpot, Cyan, who covered this trend on gourmet convenience. So, Cyan, welcome back once again. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Jon. Good to be back.
So, first off, this term gourmet convenience, how would you describe it?
So yeah, I actually came up with this term. I don't know what other people are calling it, but I'm calling it this. It's basically premium morsels of food delivered in ultra convenient packages. Like you mentioned, people want an easy way to sample the world, and they don't have to go to a fancy restaurant to do that. So yeah, that's kind of how I see this new trend.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like people are more interested in fancier foods and don't exactly want to travel to get them anymore. But what trends have you kind of seen on your end that indicate this rise in super convenient meals?
Yeah, so it's actually been happening for maybe a couple of years, but I've noticed it recently mainly because I personally subscribe to like more than one meal delivery kits, and I'm definitely not a great chef, so it helps me out a lot. And that's kind of prompted me to look into this space. And apparently the meal delivery service is like a 20 billion plus market. Is huge, and there's been constant interest in it. Also, if you look at grocery stores, the grab and go section is risen more than 70% since the pandemic. So people are really prioritizing on that convenient experience to get their food. And obviously, as you mentioned, the snacking is up. I think it's reached like 200 billion plus in revenue right now. So snack is sort of the ultra convenient way of like enjoying different food experiences. So that's kind of how I start to see this trend take shape in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that, people would want more convenience, especially after 2020, where we had to do a lot of meal delivery just out of necessity.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense that stuck around long term. But in terms of like the gourmet aspect of this whole thing as well, that's really, really interesting to me, and how people are craving more fancy, let's say, options or more diverse options. So who is particularly interested in the gourmet aspect of gourmet convenience?
I would say honestly everyone, but especially the younger consumers like Gen Z, millennials, they're really seeking more global flavors, more complex ingredients, and they're really driving this kind of trend towards seeking more interesting kind of gourmet artisanal aspect of food. And the experience economy that they're really active participants in also is a driver of this.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, I think, as a millennial myself, and I know I have a lot of Gen Z friends as well, everybody kind of on their socials, you see new things that you've never seen before, like, and you're experiencing new kind of cuisines thrown at you daily if you're really big into like food TikTok like I am. So when you're getting kind of onslaughted with all of those things, and it seems like a lot of newer to Americans, newer flavors have kind of come out of the woodwork and become very popular. What are some of like the more interesting new trends that you've seen in terms of like new foods or quote new foods?
Yeah, I'm also a big subscriber of Food Talk. I definitely watch those. And I think social media, especially short form videos, has kind of expanded people's horizons in terms of different kind of cuisines. Some food with like global influence like ube, I don't know if you know about it. It's like this purple yam. It's very popular. It's a Filipino kind of ingredient. And then last time we talked about seaweed, which is kind of an Asian snack, a common ingredient there. And now it's also becoming more prominent here. People are paying hundreds of dollars for like exotic fruits from Japan and stuff like that. So really anything that is new and people that might have not experienced before are definitely catching on in terms of trend.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, I've taken note of like all those things coming up, and really funny because last time you were on, we talked about the seaweed market and the potential of seaweed, not only as a snack, but like biofood and all this other stuff. So a lot of that is very, very interesting that this is becoming very popular in the United States. And what does that kind of tell us about consumers today? Like, what do they really want from their food?
I think the experience economy I was mentioning before, that is where the food cravings is heading. People really want to experience the joy of tasting different things, interesting things, without worrying about when, where, and how, right? I want to taste the most exotic fruits or the most interesting ingredients from a land far, far away, but that get delivered to my door, or I can grab and go in a supermarket. So I think that's breaking this distance or these boundaries and trying out new things is what people are looking for in terms of their food experiences.
Yeah, it seems like trying out new things has translated very well to the snack market because, as we talked about, it's an over $200 billion industry. At least it was in 2023. I'm sure it's even grown this year. So how does this all relate to the snack market, and what do you attribute to the growth of that?
Our snack market is its own beast, but if you think about it, the convenience aspect is still there, right? They're the ultimate convenience food, and it's really about treating yourself. A lot of people are using snacking as a ritualized form of self-care. I read this thing that close to 50% of people snack 3 times a day, and I think the other 50% are lying. But, basically, snack is such a big part of life, but people aren't satisfied with just Cheetos or your regular run-of-the-mill potato chips anymore. You got to innovate. A lot of brands are trying out new flavors, launching new experiments, more like clashing of textures and cultures, really just more bold experiments with the way people snack. And we also see this trend of artisanal cookies, like gourmet cookies, where the flavors might not be as unique, but maybe the way they make them, they put in a lot of healthy ingredients. So overall, I think just snacks is a great representation of this wanting more premium flavors in convenient ways of eating them.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of avenues to get into something like this. It seems like the snack market's doing very well. The diverse food market is doing very well. New innovations coming out, I feel like, weekly. So how could somebody get into the snack market specifically and the overall food market?
Yeah, I think there are many different ways. Obviously, you can try to just innovate with your flavors. I wrote a piece last year about like influencers, launching their food and beverage or snack brands, Mr. Beast and what have you, Emma Chamberlain. And the way they do that is like white labeling. So they find a manufacturer and then they slap on their own branding. So I think these are definitely ways for you to get into that market. You could also make it healthy, right? Demand for healthier snack is still growing strongly. It's up like 2.5x from 2022 to 2023. And then you can maybe pitch to offices or colleges where like busy worker and students might crave healthy snacks but don't have the time to track them down. I was thinking even you could maybe have a fleet of vending machines that specifically vend healthy snacks and put them in those locations. That will give you a nice profit as well.
In addition to the health, I think which is a big component about this is that people are wanting healthier snacks. It seems like there's also in your article, you kind of mention a uptick in sauces and oils. What does that look like?
Yeah. So the hot sauce market is definitely heating up. I think it's reaching more than $5 billion by 2030. But hot sauce is only a small portion of it. There's, the whole umbrella of artisanal oils, vinegars, other, condiments. They're kind of getting a makeover these days. So Brightland is a brand that does like oils, sauces, and vinegars very well. It's like very beautiful, like Instagram worthy packaging. And they have a really nice social presence. And people are really going to look forward to this kind of like new experiences to remake the sauces and vinegars that seem so commonplace usually. David Chang, the Momofuku guy, he had a controversial situation before where he failed to patent like chili crunch. He wanted to patent that.
Right. I remember that.
Right. That was such a flop because a lot of people came over and be like, how could you do that since it's so common in so many different cuisines? And I think that kind of triggered a widespread discussion about, cultural sauces and their origins. And I feel like that definitely helped drive the demand for more interesting sauces.
Yeah, and I'm glad something good came out of that. And also, what are some more markets that you can kind of integrate premium foods into? I know that's kind of a big topic of discussion today is premium foods and being able to distribute them elsewhere. So where do you see as a place that they could potentially fall into as well?
Another market that could benefit from gourmet convenience could be for kids. So you know how busy parents might not have time to cook. And if you have a meal delivery kit that has specifically baby food, like Nurture Life is one of those that raised millions of dollars. That could be a potential use of this trend. Or, if you ever attended a public school, school lunches really suck in terms of nutritional value and presentation and flavor and really everything. I don't know how feasible it is, but you can maybe like reach out to local schools and partner with them to provide kind of like a meal upgrade for the kids. So I think these are also ways to tap in on that because nobody's too young to be a gourmet. You can elevate their palates early on.
Yeah, that would have been really nice when I was eating like pizza, hot dog, cookie lunch in 5th grade. So, I mean, I hope somebody can get that done because that would be really nice. But if you're not in the food market, if you don't know how to, cook or prepare any foods of any kind, is there an avenue for you to also get into this as well?
Yeah, for sure. There are plenty of opportunities to like dig around. We mentioned last time when we were talking about seaweed, you could like do curated snack boxes. Or earlier I said like white labeling, like you don't actually have to make them, right? You could just partner with the manufacturer or you could like curate stuff that already exists. And along the same line, you could make maybe content, whether it's a YouTube channel where you sample a lot of different unique ingredients, unique snacks, and kind of teach people about these things. And I feel like there's definitely going to be a market for that. Food talk, it's alive and growing.
Yes, alive and well.
I'll definitely subscribe for sure. Yeah. And then you can also do like marketing services because if new brands are trying to launch into this space, they're going to need some help like standing out, building a competitive moat, or an older brand that wasn't known for this, but they're trying to reinvent themselves. So you can also help in terms of marketing, branding, and all that. And finally, I'm a big fan of like design, anything design. So I always try to find if there's a design angle in this. And I think packaging design for these new brands would be really cool. Or even you can try to design storefronts or at least the sections in the supermarkets where people are shopping for these convenient gourmet foods. And I feel like that will tell a good story. And if you have the design chops, you should go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's become so huge. I feel like design in the food space has become so essential. I feel like, what's been trending on my food talk, at least? It's been the design of tinned fish.
Oh, like Fishwife?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Like it's so randomly cool looking. And I've never had tinned fish before, but it kind of makes me want some tinned fish. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's like those specialty stores that are curated to display those kind of brands like Fishwife, right. Graza. I'm actually just talking to the design head behind Graza, and he was telling me all about why this is a whole trend. So I don't know, maybe another time we can chat about that too.
Wow, would love to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of design in CPG, and I just nerd out about it so much.
That's awesome. Well, Cyan, thank you so much for coming in today and telling us about yet another trend. I hope to see you real soon once again.
Yeah, sounds great. Good talking to you today, John.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot podcast network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email, and we'll see you tomorrow.